Hello, I'm Sai, and this is the beginning of the end. So as you've seen in the last episode, there were some troubles getting to where we are. In chapter 5, we died 2 times, 3 times? 3 times, yes. But we finally achieved it. A couple of differences in chapter 4, if you skip that part. Basically, Mom died, our coffers were empty, Gloria didn't marry the noble Al Pelletier, and Stefan got mad at us. Then, as the final thing, Cassius was overthrown. Oh, I think this is easier if I show it over here. Now, we are in the last chapter. We have victory conditions as seemingly... Oh, I was gonna say they are this... Okay. So, we can have peaceful victory, we can have military victory on the rebel side, same as the rebel side on the empire side, but different points for each, I see. We didn't go over these at the end of the last episode, because I was just happy that we achieved this state. I think we can worry about these stats later in the chapter. But one thing I just quickly want to glance over is our destinies. So here are the outcomes. The city is defended, peace with the overseer, the surrender of the revolt is defeated, the legion is defeated, the Anisot massacre, dark times. So I think this dark times was the outcome when we achieved, not much of an achievement, when we reached through death, when we failed the game basically. The family, on the family side, the family is in the city. The Brante family choose to remain in the rebellious city of Anisote. The family has perished, so everyone died. The family has fled. The family is saved. Okay. And we can have an occupation. We basically flee, lead the revolt, or defend the empire, or we are joining the rebels. Interesting. So I think we get the most out of the story probably if we join either side. Now, without further ado, let's get into it. The revolt begins. Cassius's overthrow was a severe blow to the old faith. Disturbances have broken out all over the city. Your patronage of the new faith has transformed it from an oppressed movement into a prominent power, and this power stands poised to eradicate the old church and establish its own rule throughout Magra. The new believers are led by Abbot Leonard. Countless citizens have joined him since Cassius's death. The old faith's time has passed. It must make way for the true teachings. As Patriarch, I, Leonard, will lead you to freedom from the Lots. The entire empire will eventually follow Magra on this path. Hordes of new believers occupy the temple squares and streets. They are joined by disaffected citizens, conspirators, and heretics of all stripes. The name of Inquisitor Brante is on the tip of everyone's tongue. Your victories have gained you the support of priests of the new faith and their flock. But the real battle for the people's souls is yet to come. The revolt is coming. Okay, so this is Sophia, the mage or witch. From trusting, she went to leading the revolt. Currently at a stalemate. Okay. Troops. Let's read this. The general strength of the revolt, forces gathered by the rebels, solidarity among them, support for the rebellion among the townspeople. The outcome of the struggle for Anisotti will depend on how strong the revolt will be at the moment of the decisive collision. We probably don't want to reach bloodbath stage. Squad, army, regiment, handful of fighters, okay, clergy, common folk, so all the different factions, how much people we have. The rebel event has happened. You take the side of the revolt. What do you mean you take the side of the revolt? Rebels, you mean? I guess you mean rebels, yes. Chapter 5, The Revolt. At dawn. For years now, Anisota has been simmering like a cookpot over a slow flame. The powerlessness of the simple folk, unable to change the old order, has gradually given way to rage. Finally, this anger became stronger than their age-old submission to the higher estate and their fear of divine retribution. This rage was the spark that lit the fire of the revolt. All of Anisota's commoners have risen up in rebellion. Workers, artisans, merchants, beggars. They all long to break free of noble tyranny and the perpetual suffering that is their lot. The most daring among them have joined the last row. The secret society has sent entire squads of trained soldiers out into the streets. They hand out guns and bombs to the people, weapons that give them a chance to wage war on equal footing against noblemen descended from generations of warriors. But the most dangerous weapon the rebels possess is the people's court. The commoners have claimed the right to sentence their enemies to true death. The first nobles executed by the last row this very night served as proof that these sentences are real. For the first time in the history of the empire, the divine force of the law is in possession not only of the noblemen but also of the common estate. Among the rebels are many new believers. They are ready to take up arms to defend their faith and freedom from the lots. They are led by Leonard, the abbot of the temple by the silver tree. Prefect Elborn's allegiance remains unknown. The supreme judge has taken such pains to give the lowly estate more rights. Will he support a revolt that strives to do the same? Anisota has recently been rocked by a series of spontaneous assemblies and protests. The mob demands equal rights for all estates and freedom from the tyranny of the nobles. The authorities must recognize the new faith and grant the commoners the right to choose their own lot. By nightfall, the rebels had disposed of the guards and taken over the city gate. In a matter of minutes, Anisota was under their control. Hold up. Going back. The authorities must recognize the new faith and grant the commoners the right to choose their own law. Why would anyone choose to be a commoner in that case? And equal rights. I guess if they have equal rights, you could still choose to be a commoner, but why wouldn't you choose to be a noble? But if everyone is noble, who is the noble, right? This is kind of dumb in a way. Anyway. It is the duty of Overseer Gaius Tempest to crush the revolt. The Archnean nobleman feared for his own position and power, so he was reluctant to punish the rebellious city as discontent slowly grew year by year. But the ensuing uprising has left him no choice. The Overseer has announced a full-scale mobilization. In the morning, the Legion will march toward Anisot under his command and attempt to return the city to Imperial authority with fire and sword. I'm sorry that I sometimes say Anisot and sometimes Anisotte. I try to go with Anisotte, the more Italian-sounding one. The expeditious arrival of the Legion is the only hope the nobles have left now that they are locked inside the city. Members of the higher estate, especially the old aristocratic families, fear the coming rampage and strive to keep order on the streets. Meanwhile, the Inquisition led by Sister Jeanne is trying to stop the new believers and urging the people to reject the revolt. Both groups are aware that if the rest of the province follows Anisotte into rebellion and chaos, the empire itself and the divine order will begin to crumble. After nightfall, the city grows quiet. Its courtyards and squares are empty. In mansions and palaces, hasty negotiations are held and schemes are concocted. In dark cellars, the revolt is being prepared, and armed units are gathering parishes. are gathering. Parishes are getting ready to defend the Temple of the New Faith against the Inquisition. All citizens, rich and poor, common and noble, are arming themselves. Some with ancestral swords, others with cleavers. Anizote is preparing, waiting for the dawn. As the legion arrives for the assault, the rebels assemble into a militia and get ready to fend off the Imperial army. But there is little unity in their camp. Their leaders are already mired in a power struggle. There are also defenders of the Imperial Order within the city walls, members of the old aristocracy, soldiers of the Inquisition, priests of the old faith. Commoners are willing to defy the law and the twins' design. These people too refuse to lay down their arms. The first rays of the rising sun light up the horizon. This day will go down in history. Your entire life has led you to this moment. Step by step, you have made yourself the man you are now. Your actions today could alter the course of history. But are you ready to go in the distance? What will have become of you by the time the sun sets? Okay, so far it seems very automatic. Oh, so this is the true beginning after all. So these are just the goals that we went through. Should I read them? I guess I should read them. The revolt wins a decisive victory over the Imperial forces. This is when the Legion is defeated. We have to lead the revolt for this? Okay. Overseer Gaius Tempest is forced to accept the demands of the revolt. Oh, peace with the Overseer. So this is probably the one that we want to achieve. The city is defended. The rebels manage to fight back the attack of the Legion and hold Anizote for some time. Why would we want this? The revolt is defeated. The revolt is suppressed by fire and sword. Anizote is back under the rule of the Empire. The surrender of the revolt. The rebels surrender to the mercy of the Overseer. Anizote is back under the rule of the Empire. The Anizote massacre. The revolt led by Sophia wins at the cost of relentless massacre. This will happen if the revolt is higher or equal to 6 and Sophia is leading it. So I think Sophia can lead it. Yeah, Sophia can lead it. But the two conditions can't be both met. That's the point here. So we can dispose of Sophia and then have the revolt at a really high level. Okay. Okay, these are simply the events that we went through. And this is our occupation. I guess we have no choice in that. Well, it makes sense. Why would we join the Empire after all this? Yes, and the revolt screen is available. Cool. Morning. So this will be really just one day. Oh, the family's fate. This event is a consequence. Oh, okay. The family falls apart. That was the, or didn't fall apart. That was the condition for this. The first rays of the morning sun reach the windows of your family home. It would be so easy to forget about the impending revolt here within these old familiar walls. But the calm before the storm will soon be over, and yesterday's turmoil will return. There are only a handful of hours left. The Brantes have to decide what to do. Should the family stay in the city and prepare to weather the storm? Should they join the struggle? Or should they simply avoid it? After a sleepless night, you gather in the sitting room as a family once again. Father is the first to speak. His determined, yet surprisingly calm voice fills the room. This is what I was afraid would happen. The noble estate has turned a blind eye to the common people's misery, and now we have a revolt on our hands. It is my fault as well. I did all I could to serve the cause of justice, but it just wasn't enough, and now blood will be shed. The family patriarch casts a somber gaze over his children. I want to make one thing very clear. Today, our family cannot get involved in the unrest. We will not take sides. We feel for the common estate, but we are not getting dragged into a hopeless bloodbath. As for preserving the overseer's rule in Anizote, we will not sacrifice ourselves for that either. He has led Magra to this rebellion, and now it's up to him and his legion to deal with the rebels. And we mustn't forget Commander Othon and his noble militia. They're all too eager to use this opportunity to slaughter all the nobles they blame for the revolt. Father is silent for a while, then he takes his sword off the wall and places it firmly on the table. His voice rings with the coldness of steel. We will stay in our city and protect our home. Whatever danger we might face today, the Brantes will not surrender their home and their status or their place in this world. None of you have ever seen Father so filled with resolve, but he still seeks your support. Robert, the patriarch of the Brante family, meets your gaze. My son, I know you're going to make your own decision. You're too deeply involved in this conflict to just stand aside. But right now I'm talking about our family here, Bronto. Our family must remain out of harm's way, no matter what you decide to do. Okay, so this is our only option. Why so? Unity too low. I think it's most reputation. Okay, they cannot be rebels. No, they cannot be siding with the overseer, and they cannot be rebels because, again, the unity and our relationship with Robert. But agree with Father and protect your home. Father is right, the family must remain in the city and protect their home. You agree with Father? The Brantes need to take shelter at home and stay out of this struggle. It would be unwise for the family to take any side in the coming conflict. They should just focus on keeping each other safe. You, however, will have to act on your own. This is a historic day. You cannot stay out of it. Soon you will join the struggle for the city's future. You have to get ready and muster all your strength. Father lets out a bitter sigh and puts his hand on your shoulder. Very well, son. I always knew you had your own destiny. I hope you fulfill it today. Determination written in his face, Father stands up and buckles on his sword belt. As for the rest of us, we will stay home and stick together. Check all the locks, board all the windows, and reinforce the doors. You say your hurried farewells to your family and leave them to their preparations for the coming storm. If they should find themselves in danger, you promise to come home and help them at once. But in your heart of hearts, you are still uneasy. You finally walk out the door and head for the gate. This is where you belong now, on the streets, where history is about to be written. Pronto, hold on. Turn around and look behind you. The hunched, hopeless silhouette of your younger brother appears on the steps. Nathan hurries towards you. The Brante family choose to remain in the rebellious city of Anizote. Will we get to hear what Nathan has to say, or? Will he join us? By their will. Your younger brother stands before you, clutching an old prayer book. He speaks, sighs deeply, then begins to speak. What? Okay. I know you're in a hurry, Bronto. I try not to take up too much of your time. As you know, my faith was wavered all my life. The twins know how much I've sinned. But even in my darkest hour, I knew they hadn't turned away from our word. I knew they still cared. Nathan is quiet for a moment, watching a tiny ant make its way across the porch. But I just can't understand. No matter how hard I try, what's happening to us? This revolt against the Empire. How did the twins let it happen? Is this even possible? I mean, the twins made the whole world as part of their design, didn't they? Does that mean the entire world is about to fall apart? This revolt, what is it? Please help me understand. Nathan's sullen gaze rises toward the shining pillar, but thick, grey storm clouds are already moving toward the city. The shining strip at the edge of the sky is growing dimmer by the second. Watch the sky too, lost in thought. What will you tell him? You should ask the elder. But Nathan is not hopeful, I see. Relations Nathan Brante prophet? Oh, that would cause him to be a prophet, I see. The revolt is a challenge against the gods. Nathan, consumed by despair. The world is corrupt and unjust. The twins need to hear the people. The only way to get them to listen is by challenging their will. The revolt is a threat to their design. The revolt is a threat to the twins' very design for this world. It has to be stopped before the gods unleash their wrath upon us. So this is what we have to do, probably. The twins gave people freedom, and that freedom includes the ability to alter their great design. Or walk away. You are not about to waste your precious time on your wayward brother's latest delusion. Kind of a dick move. So, the revolt is a part of their design, we tell Nathan. You sit next to him and gently tussle your younger brother's hair. He grips your hand and sighs sorrowfully. You share a quiet moment, just as you did so often as children, when little Nathan would play quietly next to you while you read. Remember when I was little and you taught me about the gods? I guess I need your help again. You nod, gather your thoughts, and speak. What if the revolt is neither a threat to our world nor an affront to the twins? After all, the twins gave us a portion of their will, so whatever mortals choose to do with that will must be part of their grand design. That means there is nothing to fear. No punishment, no end of the world, no wrath of the gods. When the twins gave us free will in the world they created, they made their decision. And this is all we need. All we mortals can do now is try to live the best we can. Whether we are meek or rebellious, happy or sad, the twins are silently watching over us. You look deep into your brother's eyes as you speak, watching faint hope shine through the fear and sorrow. Without saying a word, Nathan considers your words. As he meditates over their meaning, his mouth stretches slightly into a shy, almost childlike grin. It has been so long since you last saw your brother smile like this. So there's hope after all. There's a little bit of their will in everything we do. Everything we think, there's a little bit of them in all of us. I've been trying so hard to get closer to the twins, but they've been right here with me the whole time. To watch Nathan transform before your very eyes, his back always hunched, suddenly straightens. His eyes light up, as though he is seeing the world around him for the first time. I've been trying to find the answer for so long, but it was right there in front of me. You go ahead, Brante. I know you have a lot on your plate right now. I'll be here. Before you walk out the gate, you turn around one last time. Nathan is kneeling under the old tree in the garden. He is praying. And he became hopeful. Mustering the forces. The crimson sun slowly rises above the horizon. You make your way through a city in chaos, carefully observing what is happening on the streets. The rebellion is flaring up again after a night of calm. Once again, the commoners are taking to the squares in droves. The grim resolve in the rebels' eyes speaks volumes. They are determined to seize their freedom or die trying. There are others, however, who are huddling inside their homes, locking their doors and praying to survive the revolt unscathed. With every passing minute, you see more and more people carrying banners. They bear a hand clutching a lantern, the mark of the last straw. Conspirators have left the shadows at last. They hand out guns to the common folk, using these last precious minutes to quickly teach them how to fire them. The artisans are out on the streets too, cobbling together makeshift shields out of wood and nails to protect against the nobles and their blades. This music is a banger, but it's kind of hard to focus on reading when I'm hearing it. Let me turn it down for myself a bit. There we go. Fortunately for the rebels, the nobles remain divided. The old noble bloodlines have sided with Dorius Otton. The Archnian has sworn to bring down the revolt by any means necessary. His noble militia now stands guard in the Silver District, where the city's most eminent aristocrats have their homes. They represent the greatest threat to the revolt. Many nobles of the mantle, however, are all too eager to violate their oath of fealty and side with the rebels. Though ennobled to serve the Empire, they no longer want to suffer under the boot of the high-born Archnians and human gentry. But there are many more who are still undecided. Soldiers and low-ranking officers of the Legion from the city's garrison, officials and functionaries, they have all found themselves caught between the Overseer's orders and the People's Revolt. Many of them are biding their time, hoping the Legion of the Prefecture will spring into action and quell the unrest. But the Prefecture has yet to react. The city prefect, Sir Alborn, still has not made it clear which side he is on. Even the clergy has been swept up in the strife. Abbot Leonard is gathering new believers for a procession to the Silver Tree, where the people will elect a new patriarch. Old believer priests and common folk who prefer to cling to the lots and save their souls stand in opposition. Even the Inquisition, whose duty it is to protect the Church of the Twin Gods against heresy, has been tainted by this schism. The true fight for the fate of Anisote will begin in a matter of hours. You have had 8 years to curry influence among the people of this city. It is time to put your connections to the test. I don't like the who you can sway to your side, who will be willing to sacrifice their lives and fight for your cause. Well, this is sad. Bide your time. So require I see. Not enough eloquence. Arm the new believers. So we would have gained more eloquence if we did more Inquisition stuff. We are not a nobleman, so we cannot incite a riot among the Legion troops. Assemble a squad of loyal rebels. We are not lotless. Support the old believer priests. We are a rebel. Oh. Unite the nobles. Out of the question. By the people's loyalty. It's only if we are pet of the lotless and not a rebel. How come the lotless could defend the Empire? Oh, I see. So we... So I guess if you are the lotless, you get to choose a side between Empire and the rebels. Because for this to work, you cannot be a rebel, you see? But you are also pet of the lotless, which is in the rebellion. But as you can see on the right side, the consequences, never right. Bide your time. Sorry. Interesting. This will be a long day indeed. It will take all your wits and composure to do what must be done. You spend these last few hours of quiet biding your time and mustering your strength. You keep your ear to the ground and plan your next move. The timing for this respite rest could not have been more perfect. The storm is yet to come. Both the defenders of the imperial regime and the rebels need time to gather their forces for the pivotal clash. Gaius Tempest and the Legion will not arrive in Anisote until nightfall. Only then will the fate of the revolt be decided in the ultimate struggle. The Legion is already on the march toward the rebellious city. What can the rebels do to oppose it? Everything depends on how the conflicts of the day play out before the sun sets. The prefecture and the gendarmes, will they pursue the rebels or take their side? Leonard's procession of new believers to the Silver Tree, will the people elect their first patriarch? The disjointed groups of insurgents, will they be able to unite, and if so, who will unite them? Your thoughts are interrupted. The sound of gunfire fills the city streets again. The lull is over. You can wait no longer. The order divided. Cause path of the priest. Okay. It is noon. The wind drives the sand along the stone slabs. The Inquisition has gathered inside the yard of the ward, but they are uneasy. The schism within the church has split the order as well. Some of the inquisitors follow the old faith, while others are new believers. Their contentious quarreling can be heard over the ward's tall fence. We need to stay in the ward and protect ourselves until the overseer's army comes. But we cannot abandon the people at a time like this. It is our duty to stay with the faithful and preach on the streets. We need to show our support to the noble militia. They're the ones protecting the order. The rebels are fighting for the legitimacy of the new faith. We're done being persecuted. It is the will of the twins that Leonard became patriarch. We cannot stop him. The ward's doors open. Jean briskly walks outside. Enough. It was I, brothers and sisters, who brought the Inquisition back to power in Anisote. And you all know it. But now it pains me to see what we have become. I have never taught you to be cruel. I used to believe that each and every Inquisitor knew their sacred lot, that you all saw the wrath of the gods looming over so close, that you all knew what they could do to our world should we besmirch their design. But clearly, I was wrong. I don't know why I'm doing kind of like a psychopath noise for her, but excuse me for that. The city is full of heretics. The Inquisition has failed. The time for talk is over. There will be no more words, no more prayers, no more mercy. I'm taking control of the order, and it will smite the heathens. Leonard will stop at nothing to become the new patriarch, even if it means defiling our sacred ceremony. We'll stand in the way of his procession. Not a single one of those rebels will reach the Silver Tree. But Inquisitor, Leonard will have crowds of people on his side. The champions of faith won't be able to stop them. Then the Inquisitors will have to take up arms as well. The Inquisitors meet her words with stunned silence. Finally, someone speaks up hesitantly. But what about our lot? We cannot wield weapons in battle. Do you realize what this means for our souls, Jean? See? This is exactly what I'm talking about. This is the duality that she always had. Our lot? It is our lot to guide those who have strayed and save their souls. Even if it means our own souls must be damned to eternal torment at the foot of the pillar. The fate of our flock depends on what we do at this fateful hour. If we must defy our lot and sacrifice ourselves to avert the wrath of the gods, then so be it. John points an accusing finger at the Inquisitors who espouse the new faith. Captain Agaranem, seize the heretics. The champions of faith do as they are told. They force the wayward Inquisitors to their knees. The other priests watch in confusion. We shall begin by purging this heresy from our order. Then we will head to the Silver Tree. Leonard and his flock must not enter the temple, lest our worth be doomed. You walk through the gate. Jean's furious eyes dart toward you. Accept that. No thanks. You are one of those whom Jean seeks to destroy. You cannot escape this fate. Okay, thankfully we have this. Free the captive inquisitors by force. Let's see what it gives. Jean will hate us. I never liked her. She's right. The time for words and prayers has passed. You point at the kneeling inquisitors surrounded by the champions of fate. Free the captives. No! The champions of fate draw their swords. But your flock is armed and ready to fend off the warriors of the Inquisition. You greatly outnumber the enemy, and for the sake of their fate, each and every one of your followers is ready to face death, even if it be their last. Steel clangs on steel. You see flashes of burning silver in the hands of Jean's loyal inquisitors. The silver glow paralyzes your people, but others replace them as they collapse. They fiercely rush at the champions of fate. The fight does not last long. Mr. Jean, there's too many of them. We must retreat. Jean casts her gaze over the battlefield. The dead bodies of inquisitors and commoners litter the yard, slowly dissolving into glimmering mist. You have both lost at least half of your forces, but your fighters keep coming. Do what the captain says. We're leaving. The champions of fate stay in formation as they retreat. Jean is safe among them, covered by their shields. Her desperate cry reaches your ears. You've led the order to bloodshed, Brante. You're destroying everything we spent years building. Don't expect any mercy from me at the Silver Tree. Your heart is pounding in your chest. Your fellow new believers surround you. Their ecstatic cries ring in your ears. They praise your courage and faith, and they want you to lead them. We knew you'd come, Inquisitor Brante. We're going to help Father Leonard now, right? We have to show the people the Inquisition is on their side. You try your best to gather your thoughts. It is too early for Leonard to head for the Silver Tree. It will be a while before the new Fate procession begins. There is still time to find allies. Suddenly, a flustered priest runs through the gate. Doris Otton and his noble militia. They're going to the prefecture to execute Sir Airborne for treason. Clarity fills your mind. Prefect Airborne has always stood with the new Fate. He will be a powerful ally, if he survives. You must hurry. You order your comrades to get ready. The prefecture awaits. Okay, we lead the common folk. The rebels are winning. Last time Otton killed us, and it was unavoidable. The searing sun looms high in the sky above the rebellious city. The square in front of the prefecture is packed with commoners. Just a moment ago, they boldly demanded that the judges and gendarmes side with the rebellion. But now, they are terrified. They fear the noble army that is coming for them. Their calls for rebellion are gone, replaced by frightened screams. Hooves thunder against the cobblestones. The earth quakes beneath their feet. The noble militia led by Doris Otton carves a path through the human sea. The terrified rebels scatter as the riders approach. The gendarmes remain where they are, forming a tight circle around the prefecture and Airborne. The prefect calls out to the crowd, his voice hoarse. Everyone, stay calm. Let them through. Do not draw your weapons. Otton's riders push the mob aside and eventually reach the tall building. The Arknian commander draws in his reins only when the gendarmes all that separate him from the prefecture stairs. Prefect Airborne, How dare you disobey the orders of the province's rightful rulers? You have abused your position to appease the rebels and defy imperial rule. This inconceivable rebellion is your fault. It's time for you to accept your well-earned punishment. In the name of Archduke Milanidas, I hereby order you and your gendarmes to surrender your weapons. The Supreme Judge of the Prefecture maintains his composure in the face of this recrimination. I only obey the laws of the Empire, Sir Otton, not you or your runaway Archduke. Otton's face contorts into a predatory grin. Excellent. You have your chance to save face, old man. Instead of a dignified execution, you and your cronies will hang, like the false rebel you've betrayed us for. Otton lifts his sword skyward, prepared to order an assault. The riders behind him are about to attack. The gendarmes ready their clubs, their hands are trembling. They will not stand a chance against the noble cavalry. The mob begins to shift, about to flee the square. The fate of this moment hangs by a thread. Let's see here. Conditions needed, we have it all. We get more rebel points, more power, less order, less willpower, and Alborn. Why would we let him die? I guess to save some willpower, maybe? Rouse the mob. Otton's riders advance on the gendarmes. If you do nothing, the prefecture will fall. You need to act now. You leap into the mob, scramble up onto an overturned carriage and call out to the throng. You hear voices throughout the crowd. It's Brante. Brante wants to say something. You shout as loudly as you can. People of Anisote, do not fear the wrath of the nobles. Your lives are finally yours, for the first time since the empire was founded. Cast off the lot of humility. You are many, and they are few. It is time to fight. For years and years, the prefecture has always been there to protect the rights and freedoms of the common man. We cannot let it fall into enemy hands. Stop them. Protect the prefect. Alborn hears you over the din of the struggle on the prefecture stairs. His voice joins yours. Show them you have no fear. Take your rights by force. I, Prefect Alborn, I am on your side. Your words inspire the people with a sense of solidarity. They have much to lose now, and they will not surrender their freedom without a fight. In the blink of an eye, the unwieldy throng bristles with heavy sticks, wooden clubs, and makeshift spears. Sorry, I'm not reading it as I'm shouting because I don't have a compressor on my microphone and I don't want to blow your guys' eardrums. You start giving orders from your impromptu podium, commanding this newfound army to assault the rear of Otton's cavalry. Cut the rebel down, no mercy. The cavalry turns to face them with an onslaught of sharp steel. Bones crack beneath hooves, swords slice through defenseless flesh. The stench of blood fills the square as fallen bodies dissipate into glimmering dust. You keep doling out furious commands, trying to ensure that the common folk are not routed. Hold the line, stand your ground, better lesser death than eternal slavery. The riders smash into them again, but the line holds. The people have numerical superiority and their spears and clubs strike back. The cavalry begins to drown in the sea of humanity. The gendarmes hit Otton's warriors from the rear. One by one, the riders are dragged from their horses. The noble militia falters. Traitors, filth, retreat! Otton and his surviving horsemen turn tail and flee, furiously carving a path with their swords. At least half of Otton's men have fallen in this battle. Cries of victory fill the square. The commoners shake their weapons, eager to follow your orders. But it is far too early to celebrate. You have only fought of one assault. Prefect Alborn finds you in the boisterous crowd. Bronto, your courage has saved the prefecture. I'm with you until the end. Whatever you need from me, you will have it. We need to hurry now. The noble militia we've seen in the city pales in comparison to the forces of the Legion. I gather our forces at the prefecture and establish a unified combat structure. You should find Abbot Leonard and aid him in any way you can. His procession must be en route to the Silver Tree by now. The enemies of the new faith are waiting there, weapons in hand. They massacre each other if we don't stop them, Brante. This city is a powder keg with a short fuse. More fire and blood is the last thing we need. What we need is more allies, and having Leonard on our side is crucial. We need a spiritual leader who can unite the city against the Legion. You know, to Alborn, the fate of the feud between the two faiths will be decided in the clash at the Silver Tree. You have to be there. You wish the prefect luck, then muster your loyal forces and head for the tree. Okay, commoners in power, discontent. We are strongly winning currently. We might not want to get up to the bloodbath part, but who knows? Who knows? The March of the New Faith. An enormous sea of humanity flows through Anisote, filling the streets of the temple district. They are led by Abbot Leonard. The new believers walk peacefully behind him, many of them women and the elderly. They are unarmed. Their faces show neither fear nor anger. They are so drastically unlike the throngs of rebels who are currently ransacking streets and looting noble houses. The procession slowly makes its way toward the temple at the Silver Tree. The temple has always been where patriarchs of the church accept their sacred duty, along with the heavy burden of responsibility for their flock before the twin gods. When a patriarch speaks, the twins pay heed, and every 8 years it falls upon the patriarch to proclaim in their sight how their word is humbly following the lot it has been given. Long after the twins descended to our world, the patriarch came to be elected at the conclave by the clergy. This tradition has continued for many years. Today, dozens of priests have come to the temple in spite of the unrest to conduct the rite and spare the twins' word from their wrath. But now, thousands of commoners are walking to the same temple to elect the new patriarch themselves. You and your followers take a side street to the temple, avoiding the immense procession. Soon the square by the tree is packed, teeming, overwhelmed, but the stairs to the temple doors cannot be reached. A stalwart phalanx of champions of faith blocks the way with Jean in the lead. They are joined by the inquisitors, those who have decided to walk the path of the old faith until the very end. I will not allow you in the temple, Leonard. These heretics will not make you patriarch. Father Leonard slowly begins to ascend the stairs. He does not argue with Jean. The abbot simply faces her with a humble smile and gestures at the people standing behind him. Why do I have a feeling he will be cut down and we ourselves as Bronto will become the leader? Doubt clouds the champions' faces. Leonard's procession is truly staggering. Even if they are mere commoners, even if they are unarmed and empty-handed, there are simply too many of them to be stopped by a few dozen old believers. Sister Jeanne, look at them. Are they truly heretics? All of them? They are just people, our brothers and sisters in faith. Why would the Inquisition treat us like enemies? We do not reject the twin gods. Nay, we seek them with our every thought. You rejected the law of the younger when you choose to seek your own lots. No, Jean. The only thing we reject is asceticism, error. This argument has been going on for years, Leonard. I know each and every point you can make. Don't even bother. You will not enter the temple. And all these people, you're just dragging them down to the foot of the pillar along with you. How can you still not understand this after so many years? What do you think you're doing, Leonard? Don't you fear the wrath of the gods? I do not, Sean. When I become patriarch, I will tell the twins that we still love and revere them just as we always have, even as we seek a different path to them. The twins will hear us, they will listen, they will understand. There will be no wrath of the gods. The new believers heed Leonard's words. They begin to firmly ascend the stairs to the door of the temple. The champion's words do not deter them. Jeanne watches the massive congregation approach her eyes filled with remorse. She raises an arm about to give her final order. Champions of faith, protect the sacred temple. Fight to the bitter end. It would be so cool if the champions would refuse her order. Oh, they didn't. You reach the foot of the stairs as she speaks these words. This is your last chance to intervene. Oh, here we go. Because we are not the defender of the empire, we have a lot of common folk. Well, not a lot, one more. And this way... Wait. If I look at the relations, why does it say Father Leonard defeated and Jean through death? Uh-oh. But if I do this, Jean will be buried alive? Oh, what? That's fucked up. But Father Leonard will die. Why can I do this? Oh, because no torch of the new faith and eloquence. This is lead the procession to the temple. Stand with Jean and drive no fend of with the champions of faith. Or order the priest to attack. Okay. Okay, so it seems like I misjudged the situation in the previous chapter. Torch of the New Faith is what we really needed. We didn't have to be careful about the extremes on the scales before. I thought if we do that, we would automatically just give way to bloodshed. Oh well, save the new believers from bloodshed. There can never be peace between the Inquisition and the new believers. Sister Jeanne is right. The dispute between them has been going on for years. Neither side will ever yield to the other. Right now, there is only one thing you can do. Rescue as many of them as you can from what is to come. You gesture to your followers hurriedly. Spread out and guide the people away from here as many as they can. Go, in the name of the younger. The champions of faith obey Jean's order. They get into formation and begin advancing on the new believers, weapons in hand. The unarmed mob recoils in fear, but those in the front row are pushed from behind and driven onto the blades. Blood splatters onto the stairs of the sacred temple. A woman's voice lets out a shrill scream. Panic spreads throughout the mob like wildfire. Chaos fills the minds of women and men. They begin pushing, pulling, dashing, recoiling like frightened animals. And the warriors of the church keep advancing, unrelenting and little. Your men have reached the edges of the square. They try to guide the new believers down back alleys, shouting, "Here, over here," but for many of them, it's already too late. A mighty gust of wind rushes over the square. It roars, howls, almost screams, filled with remorse, agony, and wrath. The earth begins to tremble beneath your feet, before your very eyes, as though in some terrible nightmare. The roof of the sacred temple begins to shake, and the pillars start to sway back and forth. No! The world is turned upside down, like a kaleidoscope shaken by a massive hand. For several seconds, everything blends together. You fall flat on your back. Slowly, you come to your senses. You are surrounded by dozens of bodies and chunks of rock. What the... Where the temple at the Silver Tree once stood, there is nothing. The grand, majestic structure is no more. It has been leveled to the ground. Remnants of its walls and roofs are scattered across the square. The stairs that once led to it have been ground into gravel. A cloud of dust slowly settles upon the square. After the dust come the leaves, thousands and thousands of leaves shed by the Silver Tree. They cover the corpses of the truly dead like a pale, white shroud. The entire square glows as the bodies of those yet to be reborn dissolve into nothingness. There are so many that the light stings your eyes even through the thick dust that still hangs over it all. Just how many people met their death today? Sister Jeanne and her warriors are gone, buried beneath the rocks. The order of the Inquisition in Anisote is finished. You stagger to your feet and go to where you last saw Father Leonard. You soon spot the edge of his once white cassock pinned by a chunk of broken pillar. It takes all your strength to roll the heavy stone away and drag the abbot out from under the rubble. Leonard is wounded but conscious. He looks around trying to understand what has happened, then slowly falls to his knees. A loud groan escapes his lips. Blood and tears trickle down Leonard's face, mixing together. The abbot chokes on the dust. His eyes are fixed on the ruins of what was once his temple, the bare branches of the tree piercing the sky like swords. I was wrong. The gods, they wouldn't listen to us. They rejected our fate. What do I do now, Brante? What do I do? My temple. How will we live now? There's no hope left. This is the end. Leonard's words become incoherent, descending into a frantic babble. You speak to the abbot, trying to console him. All is not lost. You managed to save many people. You are not sure he can hear you now. But you cannot wait for him to come to his senses. You have to take the lead, so you begin mustering your forces and getting ready to move to the Empire Square. Enormous crowds of people are already on their way there, about to choose the leader of the Anisote rebellion. The sun slowly begins to set. Oh, leader of the clergy. And it's bloodbath time. Okay. So, give me a second. I will take a short break and we will continue from here. Hello, it's me from the future. Turns out there's still more than an hour left. Thus, these episodes will be split into 2 parts and the last one will be the last. So, without further ado, we will end this episode over here and finish it in the next one. Hope you enjoyed and see you there. Bye.